Welcome everyone to the deep dive. We are incredibly thrilled you pulled up a chair to join us today.
Oh, absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, and if you're a longtime listener, or even if this is your very first time hanging out with us, you know the mission. We take this massive, often completely overwhelming stack of information, and we distill it down to the absolute most fascinating, vital, and entertaining insights. We are your guides, and today we have an exceptionally rich tapestry to weave for you. We are looking at a stack of sources curated from the IndiaRevue, all dated March 5, 2026.
And let me just say, this specific stack is a goldmine. It really is.
It is a total goldmine. Whether you're prepping for a high-stakes meeting with industry insiders, or you're just, insanely curious about how the mechanics of modern pop culture actually operate behind the curtain, you are exactly where you need to be.
That is the perfect way to frame it, because when we step back and look at the overarching theme binding all these diverse pieces of news together today, we are essentially mapping a sprawling, fiercely competitive, and ever-changing ecosystem of Indian cinema. It is a landscape that is shifting beneath our feet right this second.
Right now.
Exactly. We are going to explore the entire often brutal life cycle of stardom. We'll look at the staggering economics of celebrity, the shifting complex power dynamics between the North and the South, and some deeply fascinating philosophical battles happening on film sets right now. It is a comprehensive look at an industry in mid-air transition.
The sheer range of what we're covering today is wild. I mean, we're talking about everything from the emotional vulnerability of aging icons to the psychology behind wearing an Heiress 19 Lac handbag to a casual movie screening. We're getting into why the biggest pan-India films are currently playing a massive multi-crore game of release date chess and what that actually means for the ticket you buy on a Friday night.
It's all connected.
It's totally connected. So let's jump right in. I want to start with the story that genuinely caught me off guard. Our sources highlight a recent interview that Govinda gave to journalist Siddharth Kanan on YouTube. And we all know Govinda carried the 90s on his back.
Oh, completely. He was the entire decade.
Right. He was the undisputed king of a very specific, vibrant brand of cinema.
Yeah.
But watching this interview, it was jarring. He actually broke down crying, talking about his transition from being this untouchable titan to performing at small local events.
It was a profoundly candid, almost uncomfortable conversation to witness, simply because it strips away the meticulously crafted myth of the invincible superstar. Govinda's breakdown is a symptom of a much larger, historically ruthless entertainment machine. The industry operates on a brutal life cycle.
It really does.
When you are at the apex, the machinery producers, distributors, PR agencies builds an impenetrable fortress around you. But that fortress is entirely funded by current box office viability. The moment the viability dips, the infrastructure doesn't just slowly crumble, it vanishes overnight. The industry has never really figured out a formalized off-ramp for its aging icons, especially those whose entire brand, like Govinda's, was built on manic, youthful energy, and physical comedy.
Okay, but let me push back on that a little bit. Is it entirely the industry's fault? Or is there a certain stubbornness in stars who refuse to evolve past their peak personas? Because look at Amitabh Bachchan.
That's a great comparison.
He faced absolute financial and career ruin in the late 90s. But he survived and thrived by completely swallowing his ego, pivoting to television with Kambanega Krodapati, and taking on character roles as grandfathers and eccentric patriarchs. Govinda, for a long time, seemed to insist on playing the traditional leading man long after the audience's tastes had shifted.
That is a very fair counterpoint. And it highlights the duality of the problem. Yes, the system abandons you, but survival requires a radical, often painful deconstruction of the ego. Bachchan was willing to demolish the angry young man to rebuild himself. Govinda's specific genius was his impeccable, rapid-fire comedic timing and his dancing things inextricably linked to youth and a very specific era of David Dhawan-style cinema. Pivoting from that is arguably harder than pivoting from action or drama.
Yeah, you can't really do the number one dancer thing at 60 in the same way.
Exactly. But what adds such a fascinating layer to this Govinda narrative is a specific piece of behind-the-scenes trivia he dropped in that very same interview.
Right. The Salman Khan story. This blew my mind. Govinda revealed that before the 2007 hit film Partner, he actually pulled Salman aside and advised him to get hair surgery and completely overhaul his physical look. And Govinda noted that this makeover played a massive role in Salman's subsequent enduring superstar status. Think about the irony there.
The irony is staggering. It highlights the immense unspoken pressure of physical upkeep in Bollywood, particularly for male stars who are expected to play the romantic or action lead well into their 50s. It is a moment of surprising, vulnerable brotherhood, one megastar advising another on the literal physical reinvention necessary to survive the industry's ruthless gaze.
But Partner was supposed to be Govinda's grand comeback. I mean, it was a massive hit. It proved he still had the comedic chops, so why didn't it stick?
According to producer Palajni Halani, who was quoted in our sources, it comes back to that machinery we discussed. Despite Partner reviving Govinda's visibility, the comeback stalled because of shelved projects and a lack of sustained backing.
So the momentum just died.
It did. A single hit isn't enough to save a career if the broader industry ecosystem, the financial backing, the scriptwriters writing specifically for you, the studio support isn't aligned to catch you and push you forward. Salman had the vast machinery ready to capitalize on his reinvention. Govinda, for various complex industry and perhaps personal reasons, did not have that safety net prepared.
Speaking of survival tactics and safety nets, let's contrast Govinda's trajectory with another absolute legend from his era. Let's talk about Anil Kapoor.
Oh, the master of reinvention.
Truly. Our sources include a review by Bhardwaj Rangan in The Hindu for a new film called Subadar, directed by Suresh Triveni. It's streaming directly on Prime Video. Anil Kapoor is playing this intensely angsty, grizzled former soldier fighting the sand mafia. Rangan calls it a well-made Desi Western.
It's a fascinating pivot. The review praises Kapoor's gripping, tense buildup and his sheer intensity. Now, Rangan does critique the film for ultimately relying on formulaic flaws, larger-than-life heroism tropes, and a predictable payoff that lacks the dramatic flair of its grounded first half. But setting the film's narrative flaws aside, Anil Kapoor's presence and strategy here are what we really need to analyze.
Exactly. While Govinda struggled to find a modern vehicle for his 90s persona, Anil Kapoor is leaning heavily into his age. He's not pretending to be a 30-year-old college student. He's playing morally complex, tired, weathered men. And crucially, he's doing a lot of it on streaming platforms.
And that is the absolute game changer. Streaming platforms like Prime Video, Netflix, and JioHotstar have fundamentally altered the economics of aging in Bollywood. They have become the ultimate creative playground for veteran actors. On OTT, Anil Kapoor can lead a Desi Western without the suffocating existential pressure of opening day box office numbers.
Let's break that down for the listener, because theatrical economics versus streaming economics are totally different beasts, right?
Completely. In a theatrical release, the success of the film is judged almost entirely by its opening weekend. You need to appeal to all four quadrants, men, women, older audiences, and youth, to pack theaters. A Desi Western is a niche genre. It might not guarantee a 30 crore opening day.
It probably definitely won't.
Right. But for a streaming platform, the economic model is based on subscriber retention and engagement over time. Algorithms favor genre-specific niches. If Prime Video knows they have millions of subscribers who love gritty action thrillers, Subadar is a massive asset to them. It allows an actor to reinvent themselves based on their craft and specific genre appeal, rather than their ability to draw a massive, generalized crowd on a Friday morning.
So it takes the pressure off the star to be everything to everyone. But that begs the question, what is working at the traditional theatrical box office right now? Our sources give us a perfect snapshot of box office longevity. Let's look at Rani Mukherjee's Mardaani 3. It is currently in its fifth week, day 34, and it is still pulling in a solid 25 lakhs a day, even showing a slight jump.
Which is incredible holding power.
It is. Meanwhile, we have the romance film O Romeo, starring Shahid Kapoor and Tripti Dimri. It slowed down significantly during the holy holiday, sitting at day 20, and is projected to finish its theatrical run at around Shia's 60 crore net.
To really understand what those numbers mean, we have to contextualize them. Just to ground for you listening, 60 crore net for a mid-budget romance like O Romeo in 2026 is respectable, but it is not a runaway blockbuster. It likely covers its production and marketing costs, maybe turning a modest profit depending on satellite and streaming rights.
The usual breakdown.
Exactly. But the trajectory is what's important. O Romeo demonstrates the vulnerability of the mid-budget romance genre in theaters today. It faces specific holiday fluctuations. You would think Holi, a festive holiday, would boost numbers. But audiences often prefer outdoor celebrations or massive spectacle-driven event films over an intimate romance on those specific days.
The theatrical window for a straightforward romance just feels so tight right now. Audiences seem to think, I can wait 4 weeks and watch two people fall in love on my couch. But they won't wait for Mardaani 3.
Precisely. What we are seeing with Mardaani 3 is the undeniable power of the slow-burn, character-driven franchise. The fact that a female-led cop universe can show such incredible staying power, generating steady, consistent revenue in its fifth week, proves something vital. Audiences are fiercely loyal to established, gritty narratives that deliver consistent quality. They don't necessarily feel the FOMO, the fear of missing out, to rush out on opening weekend.
Because it's not a spoiler-heavy Marvel movie.
Exactly. They know the product, they trust the Rani Mukherjee brand, and they show up steadily week after week. The theatrical box office is increasingly rewarding either unprecedented, massive-scale spectacle or highly reliable, hard-hitting franchise extensions.
That loyalty at the box office translates to immense cultural capital, and nowhere is that cultural capital weaponized quite like a modern Bollywood wedding. This brings us to a fascinating shift in how power is displayed in the industry. Let's talk about the Rashmika Mandanna and Vijay Deverakonda wedding.
Oh, the event of the year.
The absolute event. Our sources are flooded with details about this. They had a fiercely private, intimate wedding in Udaipur, followed by a massive reception in Hyderabad on March 4th. The internet is eating up their couple goals posts. And the guest list was insane. Rhea Chakraborty, Kriti Sanon, Brunel Thakur. But the detail that really stands out is the speculation that this might be the costliest Tollywood wedding ever.
The sheer scale of that expense, whether confirmed or merely speculated by the press, serves a highly strategic purpose. We have to look at this beyond just a romantic milestone. The modern celebrity wedding has evolved into a highly choreographed cultural event and a massive corporate merger. When you have a pan-Indian star like Rashmika uniting with a massive regional and growing national star like Vijay, their union solidifies an unprecedented kind of crossover power.
Right, look at the geography of it. They got married in Udaipur, which is the traditional stomping ground for old Bollywood royalty and massive North Indian weddings. But they hosted the reception in Hyderabad, paying deep respect to their core Tollywood base. They are literally bridging the Telugu, Tamil, and Hindi markets simultaneously.
Exactly. A wedding of this magnitude visually and economically cements their status as the absolute new power couple of Indian cinema. It sends a message to brands, to producers, and to rival stars. And as you noted, these elite weddings have essentially become the new boardrooms. They are the new spaces for decentralized movie marketing.
This is my favorite part of the story. At their reception, director Homi Edajania posted a congratulatory photo on Instagram with Rashmika, Vijay, and Kriti Sanon. And right there, mixed into the wedding celebration post, he dropped a major hint about a cocktail too. He hijacked the wedding.
It is a brilliant example of how social media ecosystems have completely altered traditional publicity. 10 years ago, announcing a sequel to a beloved film like Cocktail would have required renting out a five-star hotel, hosting a massive press conference, printing teaser posters, and coordinating a multi-city media blitz. Now, a director leverages the organic, viral gravity of an elite wedding to subtly break the news to millions of fans for free.
It's just so smart.
It feels spontaneous, it feels intimate, and the algorithm pushes it to the top of everyone's feed because it's attached to the trending wedding hashtag. It's marketing genius disguised as a casual snapshot among friends.
And speaking of elite intersections, we have to talk about the Arjun Tendulkar wedding. Sachin Tendulkar's son gets married, and the room is just vibrating with power. You have Bollywood royalty with Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan, but you also have massive political heavyweights like Raj Thackeray in attendance.
If we dissect that guest list, it represents a uniquely Indian phenomenon. It is the ultimate convergence of the country's three pillars of influence. You have Bollywood, elite sports, specifically cricket, which functions as a religion in India and regional politics. When these three spheres converge at a private family event, it creates a nexus of soft power that is unmatched.
Just undeniable gravity in one room.
It is a fascinating display of mutual respect. Politicians want the glamour of the stars. Stars want the protection and goodwill of the politicians. And everyone wants to be adjacent to the godlike reverence afforded to cricketing legends like Sachin.
And this just perfectly encapsulates how unpredictable pop culture is, despite the billionaires, the superstars, and the politicians maneuvering around this room. Do you know what the internet decided was the most important takeaway from the entire night?
Oh, I know exactly what it was.
Sarah Tendulkar. Sachin's daughter completely stole the spotlight, wearing a pink saree. A simple video of her dancing at the Mehendi ceremony went massively viral, totally eclipsing the heavyweights.
That is the democratization of attention in the digital age. No matter how much orchestrated power is in a room, the public ultimately dictates the narrative. The algorithms and the audiences consistently bypass established, aging titans to crown the aesthetic, relatable, youthful moment. It's organic joy over manufactured prestige.
Speaking of prestige, let's circle back to that Subedar screening we mentioned earlier. We talked about Anil Kapoor on screen, but off-screen, the fashion choices in the audience were telling a completely different story. Our sources note that Gauri Khan and Mahip Kapoor attended the screening wearing casual denim. Now think about what you wore the last time you went to the movies. Jeans, right?
Standard movie theater uniform.
Standard. Gauri Khan did the exact same thing, except her casual movie night involved flaunting a 19.69 lakh Hermes bag, and Mahip Kapoor was carrying a Rs 3.63 lakh Bottega Veneta bag. It's this wild paradox of, I'm just like you, but also I could buy your house with my handbag.
It really is a masterclass in the psychology of modern styling. What we are witnessing is the extreme end of the quiet luxury trend, though, with price tags that loud, quiet is a very relative term. In the past, true power and status in the film industry were telegraphed through overt glamour, elaborate, custom-made red carpet gowns, heavy diamond jewelry. It was about looking fundamentally different from the common person.
But now, dressing up too much almost looks like you're trying too hard, like you're desperate for the attention.
Precisely. Today, true elite status is signaled through nonchalance. By wearing something as universally relatable, egalitarian, and dressed down as denim, but pairing it with an accessory that requires a multi-year waiting list and costs more than most people earn in a decade, they are communicating a highly specific message to their peers.
They're the total flex.
A massive flex. The message is, I'm so incredibly secure in my status that I don't need to dress up for you. But my accessories betray an immense, untouchable wealth. It is an exercise in exclusivity masked as approachability.
It's fascinating. You want to look like you just rolled out of bed, but your handbag screams you own the building. Now, amidst all this posturing and signaling, our sources also highlighted a moment of genuine, grounded warmth. Son Kapoor posted a beautiful viral birthday tribute to her sister, producer Rhea Kapoor. She highlighted Rhea's quiet confidence, her unique taste, and specifically mentioned how much Sonam's son Vayu deeply loves his aunt.
Tributes like that resonate so widely because they cut through the highly curated, often cynical sheen of Bollywood. In an industry defined by intense cutthroat competition, fleeting alliances, and transactional relationships, highlighting the grounded, unwavering support of a sibling provides a necessary counter-narrative. The Kapoor family operates a massive business empire, but moments like this remind the audience that behind the Hermes bags and the box office clashes, they are relying on each other for genuine emotional and creative support. It humanizes the dynasty.
But of course, the industry isn't all warm hugs and family loyalty. Let's contrast that Kapoor tribute with the rumors currently swirling around the television-to-film transition space. Our sources point to a major rumored clash between actors Tejaswi Prakash and Survi Chanda. This is supposedly happening during the promotional tour for a project called Psycho Cyan. The rumors weren't sparked by a shouting match or a press leak, but by a subtle, allegedly shaded viral video posted by Tejaswi. And as of right now, neither actor has made a direct comment to clarify or deny the rift.
This situation perfectly encapsulates the hyper-scrutinized, high-stakes reality of modern celebrity. We have moved entirely away from an era where feuds were fought through explosive magazine interviews. Today, a single ambiguous glance, a slight change in tone, or a 5-second cryptic video can generate a week-long media storm.
And the transition from television to film is notoriously difficult. The graveyard of TV stars who couldn't make it in the movies is massive.
It is a highly competitive, anxiety-inducing space. When you place two massive stars from the television space into a single promotional tour, the audience and the media are actively, almost hungrily, looking for friction. They want the narrative of the diva rivalry.
They feed on it.
They do. And the silence from both camps is highly strategic. By not commenting, they allow the speculation to drive massive engagement and free publicity for Psycho Cyan without either actor having to formally commit to a negative, potentially brand-damaging narrative. It is a very dangerous but very effective tightrope walk.
And if you thought the off-screen drama was intense, wait until we get into the literal chess game happening with theatrical release dates. The logistics of getting a film into a theater right now is as fiercely competitive as the filmmaking itself. Our IndiaRevue sources detail this incredible domino effect happening right now. Here's the sequence. Yash's highly anticipated pan-India film, Toxic, a fairy tale for grown-ups, was postponed. Now, when a massive star like Yash moves his film, It creates a massive vacuum in the calendar.
A huge vacuum.
Instantly, Pawan Kalyan's film, Ustad Bhagat Singh, swoops in and moves its release date up by a full week to claim that lucrative holiday space. But in doing so, it sets up a direct titanic clash with Ranveer Singh's Dhurandhar 2, directed by Aditya, which is slated for March 19.
What you are describing is the new reality of the pan-Indian box office. 10 or 15 years ago, the South Indian box office and the Hindi box office operated on parallel, largely independent tracks. A delay in a massive Kannada or Telugu film wouldn't fundamentally alter the release strategy of a huge Hindi film. They weren't competing for the exact same screens in the same cities.
They have their own territories.
Today, because of the merging of these industries, they are fighting for the exact same national real estate. The number of theater screens in India is finite. When Yash delayed Toxic, it wasn't just a regional shift. It reshuffled the entire national economic calendar, resulting in a massive North versus South clash between Ranveer Singh and Pawan Kalyan on March 19.
And the preparation for this clash is just next-level marketing. Our sources note that the trailer for Dhurandhar 2 is dropping on March 6. But look at what is happening on streaming at the exact same time. The original Dhurandhar just hit 22 million views on Netflix. It is sitting at the #1 spot right now, just as the sequel's trailer is about to drop.
That is no accident. That is the sophisticated weaponization of streaming platforms to build theatrical hype. The producers of Dhurandhar have perfectly synchronized the Netflix algorithm with their theatrical release strategy. By pushing the first film to the top of the Netflix charts, likely through strategic licensing agreements, algorithmic pushes, and timed social media campaigns, they are ensuring that the mythology of the character is completely fresh in the audience's mind.
They're essentially using Netflix as a massive interactive billboard.
Exactly. They are using the low-friction accessibility of a streaming service to recruit new fans who might have missed the first film in theaters, converting them into paying customers who will buy a physical ticket for the sequel. It is a brilliant, synergistic approach to distribution that simply wasn't possible a decade ago.
Now, while the studios are battling over screens and algorithms, there is a much deeper, arguably more important battle happening among the filmmakers themselves. This brings us to a major ideological clash highlighted in our sources between director Sudipto Sen and director Sandeep Reddy Vanga. This isn't just a disagreement about box office, it's a fundamental clash over the soul of Indian cinema.
It is arguably the most significant philosophical debate happening within the industry today. To provide context without taking a side, we have to look objectively at the vastly different trajectories and philosophies of these two filmmakers. They represent two completely divergent paths for the future of the blockbuster.
Right. Sudipto Sen is the director behind highly discussed, polarizing films like The Kerala Story and Bastard. Our sources confirm that he is officially quitting his role as a producer so he can focus entirely on directing his next film, Chadak. Fair of Faith. The film is described as a deeply researched exploration of faith and ritual. Sen has stated he wants to present a narrative that provokes thought without judgment. But while promoting this new direction, Sen was asked about Sandeep Reddy Vanga, the director of Animal, and Sen did not hold back. He called Vanga a pervert, strongly condemned his mentality regarding the gruesome, hyper-violent killings shown on screen, and stated he absolutely refuses to even watch Animal.
It is crucial to look at this objectively, as it represents a profound internal friction regarding what kind of art the industry wants to export and what the audience actually desires. On one side, you have Sudipto Sen, who is pivoting toward faith-based, culturally rooted storytelling. He is advocating for cinema that explores tradition through a lens of researched observation. He clearly views the hyper-violence and the specific, often toxic moral compass of Vanga's protagonists as fundamentally harmful or distasteful to societal norms.
And on the other side, you have Sandeep Reddy Vanga, whose brand of cinema, evidenced by the historic, staggering box office success of Animal, is unapologetically polarizing. It is hyper-violent, visceral, and deeply focused on raw, aggressive masculine psychology. Vanga's philosophy seems to be that cinema is a place for catharsis, not moral instruction.
It asks a fundamental question of the industry. Where do the boundaries of artistic expression lie when balancing commercial viability with cultural responsibility? Vanga's films suggest that the audience craves unfiltered, boundary-pushing aggression. He operates on the belief that viewers are intelligent enough to separate cinematic violence from real-world morality. Sen's pivot and his harsh critique suggest a belief that there is a massive underserved audience craving deeply researched, spiritually rooted narratives completely devoid of gratuitous bloodshed.
Think about how this affects a young writer or director pitching a script today in Mumbai or Hyderabad. Do you write the hyper-violent revenge saga because you know it makes 800 crores, or do you write the deeply researched cultural drama? These two directors are effectively offering completely opposite visions of what a blockbuster can be in the 2020s.
It is a battle for the prevailing cinematic language of the decade. And the friction isn't just about the content, it's about the tone. The fact that a prominent director is publicly calling a peer a pervert shows that the polite diplomatic veneer of the industry is cracking. The ideological divides are becoming so stark that filmmakers are no longer pretending to support each other if their artistic philosophies violently clash.
That is a heavy, necessary question for the industry to wrestle with. Because whether a film is hyper-violent or deeply spiritual, the physical mechanics of how these films get made have escalated to an insane degree. Our sources mentioned a recent podcast featuring actor Nikhil Siddhartha. He's discussing his journey, but he specifically talks about his upcoming film Swayambhu. Listen to this commitment. He spent 45 straight days in Vietnam undergoing intensive martial arts training just for this role.
The physical commitment required from modern Indian stars has escalated exponentially, largely because the audience's palate has gone global. It is no longer enough to be charming, deliver a great monologue, and throw a fake punch. Indian audiences are watching high-octane Korean thrillers and Hollywood action franchises on the exact same streaming platforms where they watch Bollywood films. The standard has shifted. Spending 45 days in Vietnam for martial arts training for a Telugu film shows that regional boundaries no longer apply to production values. The action has to look world-class.
And Nikhil Siddhartha actually addressed the shifting boundaries in that podcast. He spoke about the whole South versus Bollywood debate, referencing massive stars like Allu Arjun and Prabhas.
His comments likely reflect what industry insiders are living every day. The debate is essentially over, but the integration is complex. We're no longer looking at competing regional industries. We're looking at a unified, pan-Indian machinery. But we shouldn't oversimplify it by saying the lines have just magically faded.
Right, there's immense friction in that merger.
Absolutely. You have massive cultural, linguistic, and financial growing pains happening behind the scenes. A film conceived in Hyderabad might be financed by studios in Mumbai, but how does the humor translate? How do you manage the dubbing quality so it doesn't sound like a cheap 90s voiceover? How do you balance marketing budgets across territories that consume media entirely differently? The Versus has been replaced by collaboration, but it is a highly complex, high-stakes collaboration.
But even as the industry globalizes and deals with these massive growing pains, there is a beautiful movement to honor the roots that made this all possible. Our sources feature an editorial spotlighting a new book by H. Ramesh Babu. The book documents the life of H.M. Reddy, who is the absolute pioneer behind the first Telugu talkie.
It is vital to take a moment to appreciate this historical grounding. When we talk about massive Tollywood spectacles like the Pawan Kalyan clash we discussed earlier, or the staggering budgets of the modern pan-India franchise, it is easy to forget that this multi-billion-dollar empire was built literally frame by frame. By documenting the work of pioneers like H.M. Reddy, it grounds the modern spectacle. It reminds the current generation of filmmakers that today's CGI-heavy blockbusters are standing squarely on the shoulders of individuals who struggled against insurmountable odds just to get synchronized sound onto a strip of celluloid. It provides necessary perspective.
And those southern industries are certainly keeping that legacy of massive entertainment alive with nonstop momentum today. We have some quick, huge updates from the South in our sources. The makers of Rajinikanth's Thalavar 173 just teased a major production update, which always stops the internet in its tracks. We also have an action-packed teaser dropping for legend Saravanan's film Leader, which promises these epic chases wrapped around an emotional father-daughter dynamic. And on a much lighter note, there's a hilarious interview with classic comedy duo Yugi Setu and Chinni Jayanth. They're talking about Panchatantaram too, and they joke about whether simply shaking Kamal Hassan's hand costs 50,000 rupees these days.
Those updates perfectly represent the sheer volume and the wonderful variety of the Southern industries. You have the godlike, almost religious reverence for a Rajinikanth project, the high-octane commercial masala of a Saravanan film, and the deep, nostalgic affection for classic comedy duos riffing on legends like Kamal Hassan. It is an incredibly robust ecosystem.
But if you really want to talk about raw, undeniable star power, you have to look at the update regarding actors Vijay and Trisha. They recently made a massive public appearance together amidst swirling, intense relationship rumors. And our sources note that it sent fans into an absolute, uncontrollable frenzy.
This is a perfect observation regarding the fundamental nature of stardom. We spend so much time analyzing PR machinery, digital marketing strategies, and algorithmic promotion. We talk about Netflix weaponization and Instagram drops. But at the end of the day, despite all the technological advancements in publicity, absolutely nothing beats the raw, visceral impact of a massive public appearance. When two icons like VJ and Trisha step out together, especially under the cloud of intense public curiosity, it creates an organic, ground-level hysteria that no marketing budget, no matter how large, can synthesize. It is stardom in its purest, most traditional, almost primal form.
It really is the kind of magic that makes the movies what they are. But crucially, that magic isn't just restricted to the massive multi-core blockbusters. We have a truly triumphant indie moment to celebrate today. Our sources confirm that the Manipuri film Boom, directed by Lakshmipriya Devi, has just become the first Indian film to win a prestigious BAFTA award. The trailer shows a young boy's journey of hope amidst intense conflict. It is releasing theatrically on March 6th. And the detail that makes this so fascinating from an industry perspective is that it was backed by Excel Entertainment.
This is a monumental victory, not just for Manipuri cinema, which often struggles for mainstream visibility, but for the Indian film ecosystem as a whole. And you hit the nail on the head. The involvement of Excel Entertainment is the critical detail here. Excel is a mainstream powerhouse. They are known for massive, slick commercial hits and huge streaming shows. The fact that they threw their considerable financial and distributional weight behind a quiet, regional indie film like Boom shows a beautiful, necessary synergy.
It proves that the studios aren't just purely cynical machines chasing the next 500-crore action movie.
Exactly. It proves that there is space and, more importantly, institutional support for quiet, hopeful, deeply rooted regional cinema right alongside the loud commercial clashes. It shows that the industry is capable of nurturing delicate art while simultaneously chasing the box office. When a giant like Excel backs an indie, it gives the film the theatrical screens and the marketing push it needs to actually be seen by a domestic audience, rather than just playing at obscure international festivals.
It gives you genuine hope for the future of storytelling in the country. Now, as the way we consume art changes, the art itself is evolving at breakneck speed. Let's talk about music and the live experience. Our sources give us two fascinating, highly contrasting glimpses into musical stardom right now. First, we have Audia Vantour, who recently visited Arijit Singh's hometown. She described it beautifully as Arijit Singh's universe and spoke about how deeply touched she was by the strong, grounded community atmosphere that anchors the singer.
Arijit Singh is arguably the defining voice of this generation's romance and heartbreak. He is ubiquitous. But what Vantour's observation highlights is the deep, necessary connection between an artist's environment and their output. Arijit's massive appeal lies in his profound emotional authenticity. Knowing that he remains physically and emotionally anchored to his rural roots, to a tight-knit community far away from the flashbulbs and parties of Mumbai, explains the grounded, soulful quality of his music. It is an authenticity that simply cannot be manufactured in a corporate studio. The audience hears that truth in his voice.
And then you contrast that quiet rural authenticity with the absolute explosion of chaotic energy at the Writers' Music Festival 2026. Our sources report that the hip-hop duo See the Moat performed live, and they turned the entire festival into a wild, uncontrollable mosh pit. The crowd went absolutely insane.
If Arijit Singh represents the soul of the nation, See the Moat represents its pure adrenaline. Delhi rap has evolved from a niche underground subculture into a dominant, undeniable mainstream force. What we are seeing with that mosh pit is a generation craving raw, unfiltered, aggressive open energy.
But the underlying thread between Arijit and See the Moat is actually the same, isn't it?
Yes, the common denominator is authenticity. Whether it is the quiet rural roots of Arijit or the defiant middle-finger street poetry of See the Moat, today's audiences have zero tolerance for anything that feels overly polished, heavily focus grouped, or fake. They want to feel the pulse of the artist, whether that pulse is a gentle heartbeat or a massive, chest-rattling bass drop. The packaging is different, but the demand for truth is identical.
That is so true. They want the real deal. But that doesn't mean they don't also enjoy a fun distraction. The industry is a machine that is always churning out new faces and lighthearted moments to keep the daily news cycle churning. For instance, our sources note that actress Preeti Mukundan is making her highly anticipated Bollywood debut in Kartik Aaryan's upcoming fantasy comedy Nagzilla. They only have 7 days of shooting left.
The fantasy comedy genre is incredibly lucrative right now. It offers pure escapism. And pairing a massive established star like Kartik Aaryan with a fresh face like Preeti Mukundan is a classic, historically tested formula for box office success. It keeps the industry blood flowing, introducing new talent under the protective umbrella of an established star.
And then we had these great lighthearted viral moments that humanized the stars. We have a video of Mrunal Thakur grooving with Manish Paul to his new song Gal Na Suni. And in international news crossing over, we have Nick Jonas joking in a recent interview about his wife, Priyanka Chopra. He playfully revealed one of her bedroom habits and laughingly called it nightmare material.
These moments, while they seem frivolous, are actually vital to modern stardom. The untouchable superstar from the 90s, the Govinda era we started the show discussing, where stars lived behind high walls, is being completely replaced by the relatable superstar. Stars actively use self-deprecating humor, casual dance videos with friends, and lighthearted marital banter about annoying sleep habits to maintain a constant, low-stakes connection with their fans.
It makes you feel like you're just eavesdropping on a couple's mildly annoying, totally normal disagreement.
Exactly. It makes the audience feel like they are in on the joke. It fosters a powerful parasocial relationship. When Nick Jonas jokes about Priyanka, it strips away the glamorous Met Gala image and replaces it with the image of a normal couple. That relatability is incredibly valuable when it comes time to ask that same audience to pay for a movie ticket or buy a product they are endorsing. It's brilliant PR disguised as an off-the-cuff, intimate moment.
Finally, we have to look at the streaming content highlights because the sheer volume of options available to you, the listener, is just staggering. TVF just dropped a teaser for the highly anticipated new season of Panchayat, and the tagline simply promises that things are going to get hot crazy. GQ India just released a curated list of 7 must-watch Jio Hotstar movies that are too good to miss. And we have some fascinating reviews coming in for vastly different projects. Deepa Galat reviewed Young Sherlock, calling it convoluted but highly entertaining. And on the complete other end of the cinematic spectrum, we have a review for a film called Darjani Kaun Aa Gaya, which is being widely praised as a mature, slow-burn relationship drama about love, betrayal, and closure.
This perfectly encapsulates the fragmentation and the unprecedented richness of the modern viewing experience. In a single evening, sitting on your couch, you can transition from a deeply rooted, satirical heartland comedy like Panchayat to a fast-paced international mystery like Young Sherlock to a deeply introspective, slow-burn emotional drama. The power dynamics have shifted entirely from the distributor to the consumer. The traditional theatrical box office has to offer unparalleled spectacle, like the Ranbir Singh versus Pawan Kalyan clash, to get you out of your house. Because the quality, convenience, and sheer variety of what is available on your streaming device are unmatched in entertainment history.
It is a phenomenal, slightly overwhelming time to be an audience member. We have covered so much ground today, from the emotional toll of a fading 90s career to the multi-core logistics of a pan-India release date shift. As we wrap up this deep dive into the March 5, 2026 landscape, I want to turn it over to you for one final thought.
As we have navigated these incredibly diverse sources, a clear, somewhat unsettling pattern emerges. We see aging actors crying openly on YouTube podcasts. We see prominent directors publicly clashing over the moral responsibilities of cinema. We see billionaires and superstars sharing their casual denim looks and their mildly annoying marital quirks. It raises a provocative question for you to mull over. With the lines between the towering stars and the everyday audience blurring so drastically through these intimate viral moments, are we actually witnessing the end of the untouchable superstar era? Or is this supposed vulnerability, this carefully curated accessibility, just a highly sophisticated, meticulously crafted evolution of the exact same illusion? Think about who truly benefits most when a multimillionaire star successfully convinces you that they are just your friend.
That is a brilliant, slightly terrifying question to leave off on. Keep that in mind the next time you scroll past a supposedly casual celebrity post. Thank you so much for pulling up a chair and joining us at the table today. From headlines to heartbeats, you've been listening to Bollywood Deep Dive by IndiaRevue.com. Catch you where the stories are.